I ran an ad agency for about a decade. I probably had, with interns and employees, I probably had about 1,000 people come through that entire process. And there's two employees, Charles Bedard and Adam Crone. I can actually say their names because I've talked to them about this. That I was blindsided when they came into I didn't have an office. When they came to my desk and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this bid. I really would like to." I lost a part of my soul. Like that was a moment where if I would have known in advance, I would have given them a car, a title. I'd have named one of my kids after them. Like, what does it take? Because they were that important to me. And I didn't convey it in whatever way. I didn't understand it. I didn't know what was going on in their life, and I was blindsided by it. So 2 out of 1,000 people that I can still remember, that was 15 years ago, that I still remember to this day, the feeling I felt in my soul that, why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I know that this was coming? And what could I have done to prevent this? And I could have done in both cases, because I've talked to both gentlemen about it. I could have done something different. Like both of them wanted just new experiences. I I was running the ad agency. I could have given them any experience they wanted. Like, literally. You want to open up an office in London? Fantastic. Let's go. Done. If that's what you want. I didn't know that, and it crushed me. And so I know everyone listening to this call, Matthew, you included, I know everyone has had that happen to them. At one point in their life, they've had an employee that they really, really trust and love and all that other stuff, and they're just a wonderful person, and they do great work, and they wanted to do something different, and it blindsided you. Like, we need to get out of that business of being blindsided.
Well, and I think that's a great point. I mean, a lot of what we have heard talking to companies is just the low participation rate on the regular, cadence of surveys, right? And so, ultimately, companies around the world are stuck and left making decisions on 50% of the data, 60% of the data. And if you were to ask any executive, to make a prediction on the performance of their business, maybe on sales, based on only 50% of the data, they'd they'd look at you sideways.
Right.
And yet we're trying to make decisions about our most important and most expensive line item in our organizations with 50% of the data.
Well,
And
I think
that's the
this.
current state of the art.
Yeah, I think this is also because you mentioned remote and hybrid. Um, I find it fascinating. Again, everyone's going to do hybrid differently, and everyone listening to this call, you'll understand this. There's no two ways to do this. You got to do it kind of uniquely to where it fits your culture, your values, and kind of the outputs that are important to you, etc. But I was talking to two gentlemen last week, one at Celanese and the other one at JP Morgan, and they'd have both of them have different hybrid strategies. And one of them's 3 days a week in the office, and the other's every other week. You have to be in all week, so it's the full week, but it's every other week. And so I asked them. Both of them were TA leaders. So I said, has it impacted your retention? Has your strategy, your hybrid strategy, has it impacted retention? And one of them looked at me and said, I've lost my entire data science team. And I'm like, "Oh, well, we could have kind of maybe known that before we created the strategy." Like these people don't grow on trees. A, B, like, again, getting back to your point about having less than perfect data. You know, as it relates to hybrid and remote, we have to do what's best for the organization. I totally get that. And again, it's not a simple mathematical calculation, but we should know what's going to really kind of resonate with the employees and work for them. Like that should be one of the things that as we solve this algebra, we should solve for that. Like, in the case of the firm that lost their entire data science team, like that we should have known that was going to happen. And I think that's not necessarily survey data. I think that there's other ways to get at that, find out what's really going to drive them into both a productive state, but also to find a way to not drive them out of the organization.